Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another one of our heart-powered, inspiring interview series. And as you know, every time we introduce you to an amazing speaker, outstanding expert and entrepreneur that is sharing their own story and expertise with you so that you can take action right away to speak up, scale up, and impact the world in your own magnificent way. And our guest today is actually a wonderful friend of mine. We met 5 years ago at a meeting in Florida, and she is doing amazing work. She impressed me back then, and I know that she's going to share with us a lot of inspiration today as well. Her name is Tina Dietz. She has been recognized by Forbes, ABC, Inc., and Huffington Post. She is an award-winning vocal leadership expert and an internationally acclaimed speaker. She's also a podcast producer and an audiobook publisher. Tina is the founder and CEO of Twin Flame Studios, an award-winning audio publishing house dedicated to cultivating cultures where excellence, thought leadership, and innovation thrive. She's combining her work throughout 20 industries in actually 8 countries with her signature humor and communication expertise, and with all of that in a powerful combination, she helps global leaders effectively amplify their message and deepen their influence through podcasting and publishing. Tina, it's amazing to have you. Welcome.
Monique, oh my goodness, it's so good to see you. It has been a while.
Great. So let's hop right in. One of the questions we love our guests first is in a very concrete way. Right? What are the top 3 things you do right now with your speaking, with your business, to bring everything again to a different level? What are your top hits and best practices?
Well, top of my list is always relationships and creating strategic alliances with people we really like and respect. I always say that if you cannot go to coffee with someone and feel good about it, they're not a good strategic partner for you. Business is about so much more than just numbers or how big somebody's email list is. In the long term, you have to have the relationship behind the the businessy business of it. So that's really important. I also know that all of my business growth has come directly as a result from my personal growth. When I am looking to build my business, I often don't, yes, there are systems and processes, team building, all of that, but I look to see where I can grow as a leader first. On being an entrepreneur is one of the most transformational processes you can always ever go through. And it never stops. It never stops. It never ends. So as your business grows, you have to grow as well. And I think the third thing would be to really become a master of problem solving, creative problem solving, and being able to pivot and bounce back from mistakes and failures quickly and develop that muscle. And then as a leader, mentor your team to do the same thing.
Right. I love
so
it.
those three. Yeah, those 3.
Powerful. I'm sure you could give probably many more, but I love them. They're really powerful. And when you talk about building strategic alliances and partnerships, what are some of the greatest strategic alliances that you've built, and how did you go about it? Because a lot of people say, I'd like to bring partners on board, but I don't know how to choose the right ones, how to select the right ones, how to make it solid from the beginning. I see so many business owners, especially in their early years, they build partnerships. Okay, it's always good to lean on each other in some way, and then often these partnerships don't work out. By the way, welcome to the club. Got that t-shirt myself, right? So, what are your, juicy success secrets about building strategic alliances?
Yeah, well, I've been kind of forged in the fire of failure on this many, many times. I tend to be an automatic yes to things. I often say that I've got a incurable case of happy puppy syndrome. So I have a tendency to really believe the best in people and best of intentions. But over the years, what I've learned is that it's important to start small and kind of test the waters with each other on small projects, small initiatives, and see if there is the energy is the same, if the values are the same, if the response time is the same. Like, we make a lot of assumptions because, one of my favorite phrases is you can't see the label of the jar you're in. right? So, we make all kinds of assumptions that the way we do things is the way that other people do things.
Mm.
But you really have to test that out. So I view it like a playground. And do you play by the same playground rules as these other folks that you're looking to play with? So having more conversations than you think is necessary, like going as far into leaning into what your concerns are, things that may have happened in the past that you're looking for, not stepping over small things. All the things that I would say need to happen in an intimate, like spousal, intimate, romantic relationship, a lot of those fall over into business relationships, and we don't necessarily acknowledge that. But the psychology of human beings is the same no matter what relationship that we're creating. So I think that's the same thing that you would want in an intimate partner to a certain extent. You also look for in business alliances, and these might be things like being really forthright in your communication. That's really important to me. Communicating immediately when something goes wrong, and then being responsive and taking responsibility to adjust that or fix it or change it, or again going back to the creative problem solving. That's really important to me as well. So we have one particular relationship with a publisher on the audiobook side of our company, where it developed to the point where we were working with their team to help them understand how audiobooks work, and how you can sell audiobooks to one extent or another, so that they could incorporate audiobooks into their services more deeply. They weren't the experts, we were. So we helped transfer some of our expertise to them. And now their default setting with all of their authors is to include an audiobook, and then that process is seamless to work with us. So it's just been a beautiful dance to develop that over time. But I would say it took a good solid 8 months of back and forth communication, of adjusting things when they went wrong. It wasn't constant meetings, but the persistence of it over time so that things could smooth out. So you really have to take that into consideration as well, that it takes time, it takes effort. And is it have you created it so that it is worth it for both of you long term?
Right. I love it. I love all your hints and tips. And, I'd like to also ask some questions on your second point where I love how you said, well, business growth comes from personal growth, and everyone knows that, right? It's a common knowledge that we need to, keep growing and learning, right, to bring our business forward. But, again, you've been running a very established, very successful business for quite a long time now. And, let's say you already, reached a certain level in your business and you really want to reach the next level. Let's say you want to go from 6 to 7 figures, or, you really want to make a major leap with your business. What would you say are things that people need to always keep an eye on to constantly learn, evolve, and grow around? What are the key things we need to constantly, learn, evolve, and grow around to really keep bringing our business to the next level?
It's a very individual journey. My background, I grew up as an entrepreneur. I had very narcissistic, kind of alcoholic father. I had a mom who had her own history of a really difficult upbringing, and I'm an only child. So there was a lot that I kind of inherited and had to deal with. And I had a number of circumstances of, abusive situations in my early childhood. All of that I've had to work with. And it's not something, human beings aren't like a turkey that you put in the oven that has a pop out thermometer and you're done. We're never done. We're never cooked. So I think that the most important thing as we grow is to simply recognize that we are never done. There is always another growth opportunity. There is always another place to step into. And there are always places that we're going to hit our ceiling, or we're going to hit our capacity in who we know ourselves to be. We're going to be out on what feels like, tenuous ground or skinny branches that feel unstable. And it's in those moments that we have to remember that we haven't slid back somewhere, that we haven't gone back to the past, or to say, oh, well, no, I really am weak, or I really am unworthy. See how I feel now? It's not that. It's that you've hit a new edge. You've hit a limit on your capacity, and now there's an opportunity to expand into it. So becoming used to that process and understanding that every one of us has certain red flags that come up in our personalities and in our behaviors that show us when we're at the edge of our capacity, where we're working on something new and it's time to expand. And so having go-to practices, being willing to explore new places, receive mentorship, collaborate with other people, not be alone on the journey. All of these things are essential for us to continue to grow and evolve as our businesses grow and evolve.
Right. I love what you're saying. And again, it brings us back to the insight that, whenever we want to reach the next level with our business, we need to reach the next level within ourselves first. So it's the inner game first that we need to master, right? And then also we should always be open to also get help from the outside, right? Through partners, through mentors, through other experts, again, that, have gone through their own journey, have built their own wisdom and expertise. We don't need to learn it all on our own, right?
Right.
So, the third point you said was around, and I think, again, it's really powerful, focus on, a problem solving or challenge solving, right? So I know that you're very established in the field of podcasting and publishing and, helping your clients create audiobooks and all of that. Amazing voice amplifiers, right? So what are the greatest challenges or problems that you feel a lot of people, like especially experts? I mean, we also work a lot with expert entrepreneurs like coaches, speakers, trainers, consultants, right? I want to bring their voice out there in a greater way. So in a way, we share a mission there. But what are some of the greatest problems you see these kind of experts are facing that you help them solve? And how can they also help?
Sure.
How can they find their own inner wisdom and power to solve it for themselves as well in some way?
That's a whole thing that we could probably spend a 3-day workshop on. How do you find your inner wisdom?
Let's start planning
and bring
that,
to work.
Yeah.
But going back to the idea of how we like to work with our clients, or the issues that they come to us with. So the issues that folks come to us with is that, they are looking for a more authenticity and more intimacy in their connections with their audience. They tend to be, established. They've been around for a little while. They have, maybe a certain size following, or they've, been in business. They've got a message. Maybe they have a book, or they're an established speaker. They have a clientele that's been around for a while. Or they're a service-based company that is successful, and they really want to connect more with their customers, with their clients, because in this day and age, we're not doing business with mega corporations. We're doing businesses with our perceived personalities of those large corporations. We talk about personal branding or company branding. We're really talking about the archetypes and voices that these companies and these people have that we perceive as individuals. We don't really perceive them as conglomerates. And if we do perceive them as these large conglomerates, we tend to have a negative view of those organizations, like, corporate America or big pharma. It gets very dire and ominous. So what we love to do is to make sure that the companies and the experts that we work with have a personal voice that is deeply genuine, that goes all the way through, that is not only in their external speaking, but is inside of their internal beliefs. If it is part of their messaging, it is also part of the path that they are truly walking in the world. And that type of congruency comes through in people's presence, in their voice, in their body, in the way they message out into the world. And we as human beings perceive when those things are aligned. So we create more alignment in the products and the services that we work with, audiobooks, with podcasting, and with the individual vocal kind of presence and executive presence of the folks that we're working with, so that when they're making these connections or doing podcast episodes, they are landing inside of the ears and hearts of people that they are reaching in such a way that it speaks truth.
Right.
And
I
that is
love it.
more of what we need on this planet.
I love it. And I feel you're passionate. And I feel like we have a shared mission there, right? Because in the end, you and I agree that, and it's just what you said, having a personal, authentic voice is in the end what builds intimacy with our clients and our audience, right? So, what are some of the suggestions you would give our listeners right here, right now? And I know it could be a 3-day workshop, easy, probably a whole year program, right? But
Yeah.
just some hints and tips of what people could do to really find and embrace their own personal authentic voice to grow the intimacy with their audience. What are some of the things that you would advise people to start looking at?
Well, if you've gotten to a certain point in business or your career where, you've been around for a while, I mean, you've started to look at yourself, look deeper. And I would seek out where you are maybe hiding out from yourself a little bit. So some of my go-to resources are the work of Brene Brown. Her work on shame and courage is a really good place to look. Martha Beck wrote a fantastic book called The Way of Integrity, and it talks about integrity from a point of view of becoming whole in and of yourself. Really, really powerful work to start to maybe start question some of your status quo. And certainly if you are involved in any kind of masterminds or groups of people that you trust that you can develop further intimacy with, those groups that go way beyond business networking and become groups of people that you can count on, that you can feel safe with, are really important. As you become more and more of a prominent or thought leader in any field, the desire for safe spaces of intimacy grows tremendously. Every human being needs a sense of belonging. It's part of our fundamental way that we're made up. But as you grow more and more leadership, it can feel more and more isolating. So, for example, we gathered together this fall. We've started to create opportunities for our authors, thought leaders, and companies that we work with to gather together inside of these spaces that are containers of belonging and psychological safety, where they can have conversations because everybody there has been vetted. Everybody there has reached a certain level of success. And so there's a common language that happens there. Right. So finding those spaces that you feel like you can share a common language are really, really important. And then setting aside time for yourself, daily, weekly basis for self-reflection. And I don't mean kind of navel gazing where you're being hard on yourself. I mean, truly being in an inquiry, whether you're meditating, journaling, or having some sort of coaching conversation that is pulling you forward and that is raising you up and stepping further and further into your genius and your unique voice. All those things are really great. One of the things we like to start with is something really simple, which is your Jungian archetypes. And that often gives you a place when you're developing your voice to kind of plant a flag and to experiment and play and have some freedom to experiment, to feel, loose and say, well, does this fit with who I am? Does this feel good in my body? Does this make sense for me to kind of embody as, a set of archetypes or a unique voice print that I want to bring out into the world? So that's often a place where we start, is where we have an archetype assessment that we do with our clients. That's really helpful as a starting place.
Very, very powerful. Maybe we can share that a little more about that also beyond our interview with people. Great. Okay. Tina, I know that you and I, we are ladies of action, right? In business, we need to get things done. And if we take action consistently, we talk about habits. So what is one of your preferred success habits where you'd say, hey, this is doing this day in and day out consistently is what gets me to where I am today and who I am today? What is one of yours?
One of the things that has been the most challenging habit for me to develop, but one of the most rewarding, is taking a day every week in the work week to focus on the creative vision and creative output around the company that I'm developing. And some days this looks like doing nothing but thinking, and developing that habit of doing that every week and not filling that day with calls and meetings and got to be busy, got to be productive, allowing myself to have that time to sit inside of my own creativity has been one of the most rewarding and renewing practices that I have ever developed. And it's also one that took me the longest to allow myself to have, because I'm, used to being an achiever. So that is one thing that I would say you want to start that sooner rather than later, and give yourself that CEO day or, creativity morning every week or a day every week that you can continue to pull your own thought leadership and your own creativity forward, because that informs everything else that you do and makes everything you do far more aligned, congruent, authentic.
I love it. And all of you, okay, follow Tina's suggestion, give yourself that day. If implementing the day is tough for you, and you can even see how you can possibly make that being a busy entrepreneur, start with taking 2 hours a week. If 2 hours is too much, take an hour a week. But you deserve that hour. And that hour will probably bring your business forward much more than all the many hours where you're just hustling, right? So I love it. I eventually expand it into a day. Tina, I know it's really powerful because the greatest ideas come to us when we are not busy running around, when we're in idle moments thinking, right?
Yeah, nobody ever said, I came up with this amazing idea while looking at my computer in my office. Right. That almost never happens.
Emails, right? Or being in a phone call.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I love it. So also talking about action, we always ask our guests, like, what would be your one suggestion of what all the amazing people that are with us right now and that are listening and watching and, that really want to say, wow, I love everything that Tina is saying, but which step should I take first to get going? What is the one action you would like to challenge everyone here, including myself, with? What is one thing we can do to really bring everything together we discussed today?
Well, it's about getting outside of yourself. And I would say this is such a great exercise to do. Go and ask 5 people in your life that you trust and respect. It might not be family. It might be family. Depends on how that works for you. It might be colleagues, it might be friends. But go and ask 5 people, at least 5 people, this question. What's one thing you wish I would do more of because it's part of my genius? And then shut up and listen to what they have to say. And whatever answers you get, take it in. Just take it in and sit with it. And then after you've had those conversations, I wouldn't respond in the moment necessarily unless you're clarifying what they're saying, but take some notes on what they said and then sit with it and seriously consider taking further action based on those answers. Because I said it earlier in this interview, you can't see the label of the jar you're in. It's a great quote from Hugh MacLeod. And it's something that I say all the time because it is 100% true. You've got to have that reflection back.
Very true. Great. Lovely. Tina, I'm definitely going to take you up on that. Okay, so ask 5 people this powerful question, right? Like, what is one thing you wish I do more as it's part of my genius? What a great question. I can't wait to see what answers I'm getting. So, I'm going to do it. I invite all of you to do it. So play with us and also let us know what's coming out of it for you in our HeartPowered Global Nation. Okay. So, Tina, I know you and I could keep talking for hours and hours, but we need to start rounding off. And it's still, I know that a lot of the people that are now listening, the amazing speakers and entrepreneurs we always have here. And thank you, by the way, for following us, being with us, allowing us to inspire you consistently with our HeartPowered interview series. But Tina, a lot of them would love to connect with you and get to know more about the amazing work you do. Maybe some people want to launch their podcasts or publish their books or want to turn their book into an audiobook or just really find out how can they use their authentic and personal voice to connect and create more intimacy with their audience. How can they get in touch with you? How can they connect with you?
Absolutely. Well, if you Google my name, Tina Dietz, I will come up as the first result. That makes me really happy. You can connect with me on all the social media platforms. And moreover, you can connect with my company, Twin Flames Studios.com. So it's Flames and Studios are both plural, twinflamestudios.com. And come and visit. Contact us to the contact us page, explore our FAQ, explore the audio gallery, and feel free to reach out.
Definitely will do. Good. Thank you very much for being on with us today. Would you like to round it off with a final word of wisdom, Tina?
You know, if you can believe in yourself a little bit more every day, you'll strengthen yourself in ways that you don't expect. And that in about 10 years of doing that, you won't recognize the person you were. You'll always be growing and you won't even be realizing it. Just a little bit every day. Believe in yourself a little more.
I love it, love it, love it, Tina. And it's again, every day a little more. And I have a mood board actually on my wall where the central piece is like believe in yourself, right? And again, we never stop, right? And again, if you want to make a bigger impact, if you want to be speakers, if you want to step up as outstanding thought leaders, you want to actually, not follow the path, but create the path for others, right? We need to believe in ourselves first. So that's really powerful. So as I always say, and thank you, Tina, for being with us and inspiring me and our audience today, and all of you, just keep going out there, take the inspiration away, turn, pick up just some of the golden nuggets that Tina shared with us, take action on them, and especially take us up on the challenge this week. Ask these 5 people this power question, and I'm sure a lot of juiciness will come out of it for you. Okay, so as I always say, to run things off, go out there, do your own magic in your own way, speak up, scale up, impact the world, and we are back with another episode very soon. Have an amazing day, everyone. All the best.